Just been bragging for 10 minutes.
Focus up.
Bull, you're up first on this one because we missed you yesterday when we talked how does the Browns offense get over on the Jets defense.
Right.
Today, how will the Browns defense fare against the Jets' anemic offense? How do you see this playing out?
I think this is a fascinating matchup. Tyvis and I were talking about this before the show. The Jets have a very interesting offense. Their quarterback stinks, although Joe Flacco wasn't hideous last week, but he is what he is.
He was Joe Flacco.
Yeah, I mean, he's not a very good quarterback at this point. Their offensive line is terrible.
Awful.
Terrible. However,
abysmal.
They have a very interesting skill group package because I think they actually have a lot of really nice skill position players, but they have no stars. Like, you look at the Panthers, they had McCaffrey, a star. DJ Moore, a star. I know you guys like Robbie Anderson more than I do. I think he's okay. And then they had nothing really else at skill position.
No.
The Jets are different. They have no stars on offense, at least not yet.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of young players. But they've got much more depth than Carolina in terms of quality skill position players. They've got 3 or 4 good, solid receivers. They've got 2 really nice young running backs. And they got 2 decent tight ends. But none of them are stars, and the Browns have stars at the key positions to deal with them. And ultimately, the biggest difference is the Jets' O-line is going to get destroyed by the Browns' defensive line. And so I think their skill position players, who, again, I think are a little underrated, pretty good for the Jets, will not be able to take advantage of it because they won't have time.
To that point, if Flacco is forced to throw 50-plus times.
Yeah, they got no shot.
It's over with anyway.
It's just going to be pin your ears back and let's go. Obviously, that was a result of what was going on in the game. When you fall behind a couple of scores early, you're throwing every play.
Yes.
If he throws 50 times, I think it's an easy Browns win.
But the Jets do have good receivers. Like, again, nobody that's a star.
Guys, right.
But they have good, like Corey Davis is a good wide receiver,
they
good
just
solid
don't have
player.
that breakthrough guy yet.
No, they don't.
He
Not
might
yet.
be on that roster, but we haven't seen it yet.
Right.
Ty.
Yeah.
Well, I think the same thing. I think it's going to have to come down to them running the ball because if you're asking Joe Flacco to pass block, I think they had an injured left tackle, so they're down to their 3rd string left tackle.
Yep.
And you got to go up against Myles Garrett. Like, he's never going to have time to get rid of the ball. So it will be a lot of quick game, and it'll have to be a lot of running the ball. I think you would have to give your offensive line a chance to be able to compete in this by running the ball. So if that doesn't happen and it turns into a big 7-on-7, the Browns is going to win by double-digit points because our secondary, I would put them up against anybody in the league. The way they handle everybody with Gnu, Martin, and Denzel, and then you got 2 safeties in the back. Those guys can check man-to-man for 60 plays if they needed to.
Yeah. Where's the spread right now?
6.
It hasn't moved?
As of this morning, it was still 6.
Okay, I expect it to move.
It was 6.5 when I was using the restroom this morning.
I expect it.
I guess it depends where you look.
Yeah, it does.
If you look in the restroom, it's 6.5.
I still think, before you guys jump in, I still think we got to realize, in the NFL, most games are close, right? There's not a ton of blowouts in the NFL.
Is close.
Typically, it's
right. It's not like college where, like, when Ohio State plays Toledo, there's a huge difference in talent.
Right.
That's not the case in the NFL.
Arguable.
And Jacoby Brissett's not that good a quarterback.
Right.
So the Browns probably won't score a ton of points in any of these games.
Yeah.
So I'm not expecting, to expect an easy win. I just don't think any of these are going to be easy.
If they have an easy win on their schedule,
it's this.
I
Yeah.
honestly believe
Yes,
this
would be the easiest on paper.
Mike?
I'm looking to the matchup, again, offensive line for the Jets. I'm looking to the Myles Garrett, George Fant matchup.
Oh, I played with him in Seattle.
He'll also be playing.
20 bands is
He'll
what
also
we
be
called
taking
it.
on rookie 4th-round pick Max Mitchell at right.
I don't know
So
him.
yeah, I'm really looking forward to that personally. And it's nice to see the Browns catching some breaks. We've had some times, I don't know if you guys have noticed this over the years, where things haven't bounced our way.
No.
And then you go to last week, and I was sitting there watching that, totally ready to watch that field goal miss and go home with a loss.
That's sad.
And so were all the Browns fans around me. All of us just had this sense of acknowledgement. We're just like, so this is how it happens. And then we made it.
It was too script all the way up to that.
It was, 100%. This week, we're playing against, not that the Jets were going to be great to begin with, but now we're playing against Joe Flacco, who's 37 and pretty much shot. And we're playing against these rookie linemen, and that's a wonderful situation. Next game, looks like TJ Watt might be out. Not that I want that.
Right.
He will be.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
He's going to be out, but his second opinion said no surgery
Not the whole
needed.
season, but he's going to miss a while.
And I don't think he'll be the same playing with a partially torn back.
Totally. The larger point is, normally these are things that break against the Browns, and it is just interesting in this weirdest weird years so far to see things for some reason breaking for the Browns. And I don't know, I'm not a big believer in fate or anything, but you got to acknowledge they're catching some breaks, and I think facing this New York Jets line right now with Jacoby Brissett is one of the biggest breaks they've caught so far.
You know how they say, if in baseball they always say this. Well, the baseball gods always have a way of paying it back.
Yeah.
If that's true, we're going to win the next 20 Super Bowls.
Right, we're due.
It's true in football.
The Browns are owed for a lot from the football gods.
We've never had the break score.
But here's the thing. Again, I don't believe in fate, but I do believe in math. And mathematically, you're correct. They're due. How many times, if you flip that quarter 1,000 times, eventually it's going to work out to 50-50?
Well,
we are about 3,000 flips due for that to land heads up. And maybe they'll all come this season and everything lines
I
up.
told Jimmy on the air Monday, I said, little quick math, and if the Browns can somehow win the next 19 season openers, they'll be at 500.
Exactly.
Wait,
and we'll call it even.
Yeah, then we'll call it even.
Wasn't it the Jets a couple of years ago where we lost our receivers or something?
Yeah, they had COVID.
Yeah,
That was last year.
Yeah,
No, that was
20.
2 years ago.
And then,
last year.
last year, their big win was against the Cincinnati Bengals, right?
Yeah. Yep.
You can't count them out.
Yeah,
No,
never know.
you absolutely
count 'em
can't.
out.
G. Bush, how do you see this matchup? Similarly to these guys?
I see it in two facets. One, it's all about what you do on first down. If you can get it to a point where you can be 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9, 2nd and 7, this game should be it's a cakewalk. Because when you look at what they have on the outside and you have at quarterback, you want to get them in predictable downs and distances, right? If I'm the Jets, I come out and I play action heavy on first down because I want to get ahead of the sticks. It's all about the sticks in this game. Because if you watch the Cleveland Browns, and they have similar rosters, I think the Browns have better skill positions, but when you look at it going against good teams with quarterbacks, the Browns won't have that advantage. So they get bogged down a little bit when you get to 5. So, you do a 2nd and 7, 3rd and 8. Ain't nothing in the playbook for them. Now you got to ask them to improvise and extend plays. That's not their strong suit. But what you think that is if you got rookies and unproven guys like Elijah Moore for the Jets and in a way worse offensive line. So when you're the Cleveland Browns, you actually want to challenge them in first down. If they want to go play action, they got to prove it to me. You got to prove that early and often because I want to get you 1-2 yard gains. And if we can get you down and on the other end of the football, we don't got to hit home runs every play, but the ones that's there, the wide open ones, to Kareem Hunt, you got to hit it. The wide open ones to Cooper, you got to hit it. I ain't even asking for the contested ones. If you can hit one out of the 2 of those and you can get up 10, you can get up 13 or 10 against the Jets might as well be 21.
Yeah.
Now they got to throw the rock.
That's a big hole.
Now they got to throw.
That's what the Ravens did to them. I think their only touchdown against the Ravens was on their last drive of the game.
Yeah, it was in garbage.
And the backups were.
Yep.
So,
And by the way, guys, speaking of the defense, Tyvis before the show, is he doing this during the show, this breakdown?
Yeah, no, he's going to do it, but could I have the floor for 1 second?
Yeah, go
Oh,
ahead.
here he goes.
I don't know if you guys saw this, but Myles Garrett got drug tested after last week.
Of course he did.
Possible steroids. The results came back. It's not steroids. He was just on so many Built Bars. That's why he's looking so. Yo,
That'll do
Myles
it.
Garrett, an official endorser of Built Bars, and he told me personally his
No, he's
favorite
not.
flavor is cookie dough chunk puffs, 15 grams
disclaimer,
of protein.
he's making this up.
Are we
Yes, this is all
using
fake.
Myles Garrett as a
Yeah, we can't do
spokesman
that.
through the show?
That's why I wanted to get that out there.
Yeah.
Disclaimer, he's making
Yeah,
this
I
up.
was like, he didn't call me and tell me this. Not playing.
But
Okay,
yes,
I believe that.
And
yeah.
he's got that big contract, but even if you have a lot of money in the bank, you should still use the promo code LOCKDOWN15 for 15% off.
We got to
because
get a
guess who
graphic of Myles Garrett
doesn't
holding
want
one.
15% off? Nobody. We all want 15% off on Built Bar. That's Built.com. I got one question about Myles Garrett that I want to ask the panel, a real question, and then Tyvis, you're going to do your defensive
Well, hold on.
breakdown.
Before we get to that, because I don't think we finished, I just want to give some quick thoughts on how I think the Browns what I think about the Browns defense against
this is
the Ravens
related to that.
offense.
This is
Okay,
related to that.
go ahead.
Is Myles Garrett going to break the sack record this weekend for the
Well,
Browns?
that's
He
our
needs 2
next
sacks.
topic, actually. So we're moving on to that.
Just
Well,
get your money off.
it's all in the same
No,
league.
I
Get
give.
your money
I
off.
give.
Get your
Is he
money
going to
off.
break the sack record this week? Because
Yes.
By the way, I heard you on the morning call this morning. You asked a very good question. Clay Matthews has like 62.
Right, well, that's ridiculous.
It
He
is
has
ridiculous.
way more than that.
And obviously, I think, where's Garrett? 60.5?
I'm
Yeah,
right here.
60.
Okay,
60.5.
there it is. Okay, so here's the answer to your question, as
Yeah.
it was explained to me years ago.
Yeah.
You said, well, why don't they just go back and figure it out?
They have all these games on tape, don't
Yeah,
they?
no, they don't. They don't have all the games on tape.
Well, not back in the day.
I think my dad does.
No, and not only that, they don't have. Now they keep obviously detailed play-by-play records for every game.
But they didn't.
They didn't.
Even when Clay Matthews played, wasn't that long ago.
No, I know it doesn't
That's
seem
too
like it was that
bad.
long ago, but in the era that we've been watching football the last 25 years, you can find out how many blades of grass were knocked off a field during the game.
I feel like in baseball, Baseball Reference has been able to get stats from the 1800s.
Baseball, as being America's sport and being a stat-driven sport, the records are much better. But in baseball,
that's interesting.
I'm not sure that I think they had to go back and count complete games, because back in the day, everybody threw a complete game.
Right. It was So
it was easy, but
it's unfortunate they can't, because Clay Matthews really had probably over 100 sacks.
There were a lot of guys.
How many half
Deacon
sacks
Jones,
do you think he has?
Deacon Jones. There were a lot of guys that would, when they before a sack was an official stat in the NFL.
Shout out to I met Deacon Jones, man. You talk about him talking trash. He talked the best trash. He said, young fella, I had over 250 sacks. Before they was even counting, I had 250. I was like,
and he's probably right.
He's probably right.
They used to call them quarterback interruptions.
Well, you could do anything. I mean, in those days, you could punch guys in the face in the middle of a play. I mean,
that was when football was football.
It was crazy.
And it was nuts.
But still, I think Myles Garrett is going to break it, because I think he'll get another 2 this week. Guys.
I think he's going to tie it.
Ooh, 1.5.
1.5.
Yeah, I have. I
because
same thing.
what's going to happen is you got a left tackle that's coming in that hasn't played. What are you going to do? You're going to give him some help. You're definitely going to have Uzomah chipping before he does any release. It's going to slow him down, but Myles Garrett is a freak, so he's going to beat it one time.
Yeah, Clowney might beat his record instead because they'll be so busy with Myles Garrett. Clowney might get 215 sacks.
1.5. I got 1.5.
I think not only I think he breaks the record, I think that he has an outside chance to break the all-time season single record. You look at the way this first 4 games are going to play out. You got this game against the Jets. Joe Flacco's a statue. Next week is Marcus Mariota. You can run into a lot of
Steelers
sacks.
next week.
Steelers and Mariota will run around and get you a couple sacks, and all you got to do is get a couple -1s on him when he's scrambling. And then you got Mr. Trubisky and the Steelers, and they don't have a great offensive line.
Those are 4 bad offenses.
Those are 4 bad offenses. If he gets to 10 in 4 games, look out.
Yeah, it's definitely in his sights if that happens. Couple of things on Garrett. I know he was the highest rated NFL player after week 1, Pro Football Focus grades. I always look at that with a grain of salt. Just the eye test. I can't believe he was higher rated than Von Miller. Von Miller was a disruptive force in that first Bills game.
Yeah, of all the games I watched, and I've said this guy's overrated at times. I thought T.J. Watt was the best player.
I thought he was.
He was
very
all
good
over
too.
the place. He was killing the Bengals.
Oh, really?
He was. I got to give him
Wow,
credit.
I never thought I'd hear this from you.
Well, I'm honest about it. I give him credit. He was. I never said he was bad. I just thought
he
was
overrated.
That's why I was surprised. Tyvis, what am I missing on the grades? Because here's how I grade
I
players.
thought Myles was really good too, but not as good as T.J. Watt.
But I grade by the eye test and the impact that a player is having on the game.
I mean, you got.
And Von Miller was Aaron Donald-esque.
I thought so too.
In the way he played in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
See, you got to. I look at it different, right? So even when you get T.J. Watt and you get Von Miller, there are times where they drop into coverage. Now, you may not say, okay, well, they're doing it. If you do that 15 times in a game and they play 60, 70 snaps, well, guess what? 15 times, that was a non-factor.
But it shouldn't count against a player's grade.
Well,
based on what he's asked to do on a given play, I would just say, does he do his job on that play?
Well, here's the thing. When you look at Myles Garrett and you talk about what he does on the run side of the game, it's not just about.
How many tackles did Myles finish with?
It's not just.
How many?
I don't know. 4. Well, how many you have? 4? It's not just about whether or not you get tackles as a defensive end.
Right.
It's do you collapse the pocket? It's do you control the offensive lineman so he can't move to the next level? Are you in the backfield? Are you gotta have good hand placement? Do you have a good pad level? All those things go into it where you can't really run the ball like you want to because he's consistently in his gap.
And I factor in things we're not necessarily looking at on an individual play.
Tyvis, because Tyvis obviously is much more versed on how players grade out during film study. The other thing, I thought Parsons for the Cowboys played an incredible game. I mean, he was disruptive. He was in the backfield nonstop.
I don't know where he graded out.
I don't know, but I'm just bringing that up. I don't want to.
But what's funny,
I'm not
like
slamming Myles
and
Garrett,
like
I'm
on the
just surprised.
surface, you thought Patrick Mahomes had the best game of the week. That he had the 8th best PFF
Right,
grade.
I know.
Now you don't want to overanalyze. That's PFF to me is a bigger deal on the season. Like how it's going over a season, not one individual game necessarily, but
here's I'll say this.
I look at both, though, the micro and the macro.
But you also, one thing that people miss is you got to look at the all 22. If you just look at the regular side,
you're missing stuff.
You're not understanding. Well, okay, well, I didn't really see that play, or I didn't see the totality of it.
I agree with that, particularly when you're talking about wide receivers, tight ends, corners, things that are happening deep in the secondary. But usually, until the ball is thrown, and then Myles' job for the most part is over, Myles is in the field of view for every defensive play that the Browns have. That's why, and I look at specifically at him for a lot of the plays. And I thought he did a great job. I'm not saying he didn't. I thought I saw Parsons was also very disruptive. For me, Von Miller was the bar for week 1. I just thought he was absolutely tremendous. Tyvis, you've been writing down on this whiteboard.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to break down the defensive breakdown that led to the 75-yard touchdown.
He's got 2 plays.
Oh, okay. You're going to do 2.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the Robbie Anderson one first.
Right.
So
and that was a breakdown.
Yeah,
clearly.
big communication error. So what happened is you got cover 3. The play that we called it in San Fran was called Boston Reno. Boston is cover 3. That's what it means to the whole thing. Reno is an adjustment. So in this set, they came out in a slot set. So if you look at it, if you look at the set,
This shirt's so distracting.
it's a don't pay attention to the shirt.
All right.
It's a nub side. So if there's no eligibles. So
Explain that, because fans might not know what that
nub
is.
sides means that there's no eligibles outside of this tight end that's on the ball.
Yeah.
So that means it turns into a slot set. So now you check Reno. When you check Reno, this corner is is 5 yards back and outside of number 1. The strong safety is 10 yards off and outside of number 2. This free safety has the post, and this corner is man to man on this tight end.
So he's got everything on that
so
side,
he has
short
nothing to
and
do with
deep.
that. Okay. So the route that you got was you got a deep post from Robbie. You got a 10-yard out there. You got a chip block on Myles, and then you got a guy going to the flats here. So what happened is the problem, these 2 corner and safety, so this is G-New, this is J3. The problem is you have to read number 2 and see if he's running a route under 10 yards. If it's
Now, when you say number 2, how you count?
So you count receivers outside in.
Yeah,
1,
okay.
2, 3. All the eligibles. 1, 2, 3. So number 2 is this Z right here. They're reading him to see if he goes under 10 yards. If it's a route under 10 yards, this corner is going to trigger on it and take it. J3 is going to take over the top. But
And you still have help over the
yeah,
top.
he's in the
free
post.
safeties. Right.
He has nothing, no responsibilities.
And the
at all.
1 or the X is Robbie Anderson, the 2 or the Z is DJ Moore,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Okay.
So what happened is he ran it at 10 yards and ran out, which is it's a gray area because it's like G-New's looking like, is that 9 yards? Is that 10 yards? So they both erred on the fact that we just going to jump him. And they left him wide open on
But if
his
you're going to
post.
make a mistake, don't you want to make the safe
you're
mistake?
always
They made the
supposed to-
risky
yeah.
mistake.
Right.
Now, Tyvis, don't most teams specify at what yard marker they want to take that out route, right?
Yeah, it's about 10 and under.
But it might be different in different schemes.
Right.
Yeah,
Different
It might
schemes,
be.
different scenarios. So,
So you're just talking about your knowledge from the Niners defense.
So anyways, so they both jumped this and left Robbie Anderson. However, even though both of them messed up, Dale Pitts still should be here in this post.
That's
because
his area.
His responsibility on this is he's looking for this deep over route by number 2. If number 2 cancels himself out, his eyes should go to number 1, and it should have took him to this post. He got too locked in on Baker and let Baker scramble around that he didn't get enough depth, and Robbie Anderson ended up behind him.
Yeah.
So that's what happened.
So in the end, 2 guys blew it on the play.
So what's going to probably happen is how we fixed it when I was in Seattle and San Fran is they made this, if it's a bubble, go. If it's something right now, go. If it's anything down the field, just play it out. Because it's too much of a gray area to figure out what distance this is. So if it has to be right now. If it's an arrow route or a bubble, the corner's going to trigger. If not, just play it.
Tyvis, I know everybody wants to circle that and say this was a defensive breakdown.
Yes.
What's amazing to me is that there are way more of those in the NFL. I mean,
it comes with chemistry. You got it. That's why the chemistry of it all.
Tyvis,
is
in the
important.
beginning of that play, let's say it is 10 yards. Let's
Okay.
say they're going 10 yards.
Yeah.
Does John Johnson have to say to who was the corner on that outside?
G-New.
Oh, G-New. Does he say to him, "Hey, it's 35-yard line"? Does somebody scream out the specific yard line, or
no.
you know it, right? I mean,
Because typically if I'm at 10 yards, if I'm at safety and I'm at 10 yards,
you're lining up
that's
there?
where I'm at.
Okay.
Like if he breaks from, of course I'm gonna take a couple steps back, but if I know where I was standing, if he breaks there, that's mine.
So it's really spatial awareness,
basically,
and it's happening in warp speed.
Yeah, it's all fast.
And that's why I'll be telling people when they be like, yo, they can make this guy a safety and make him a corner, or they can make a defensive end a linebacker. And I say you just can't do that because it's about learning space to like perception. 10 yards, they may say you need to be, your landmark is the hash mark at 10 yards. And you as a defensive lineman, you have no spatial recognition. You've never done that before. You don't know what that landmark looks like. So that's why a lot of people never get depth enough to cover certain routes.
And when you're playing these positions that you used to play in, right? You used to, your body, it's like, what's the word I'm looking for? You do it all the time.
Yeah,
what's the word?
muscle memory.
Right?
Like,
muscle memory. You just do it. But anyway, go ahead.
Oh, so
This is the tight end play.
So this is the tight end play right here. So I got to break it down to y'all. So they're in cover 3 again. That's basically what they love to specialize in. So how do you beat cover 3? Well, you run 4 verticals because it puts the safety in a bind. Okay. So what happened is typically you would have this nickel would be a buzz player, and this safety, the strong safety, would carry the tight end. But you can't do that because this running back is gun near. So typically you run it gun far, you can do that. But when the running back is gun near, if he was to go out to the flats and he carries them, nobody has him.
No.
So they have to make a danger call. Boom, he makes the danger call to him, he relates it to him. Now he's the buzzer, this safety leans over here, and this nickel is the carry guy. Well, what happened was, I think it was Denzel that was running off the field or running on the field. It was obviously a tempo situation, and he's never played nickel before. He's an outside corner. So J3 is trying to tell him, carry that, and I'm going to have to lean back. Well, what happened is J3 got caught trying to tell him that they both ended up taking this guy. Dale Pitt has to go respect to the flats, and this right here was wide
open.
And when you say in the adjustment is when you're in gun far and near, and near is to the field, to the boundary.
When the running back is to the tight end.
Okay.
Far is when the running back is away from.
And
that.
you said danger call. Is that a hand sign? Is that
So danger for us was like this.
Okay.
So technically, if it's seam alert, so if it's gun far, he would say seam alert. So he'd tell the safety seam alert. That means I'm carrying mine, you lean that way. Well, if it's danger and the back is on this side and it's danger, you give him the danger call. Now he's the buzzer. He leans to him, and this nickel carries this.
Do we know how he ended up in that nickel situation and
It was
why
it was a tempo situation. So I think what happened was the play before, because Denzel was rotating. It was a couple of series where he wasn't in. So this had to be the series that he wasn't in the game. Mm-hmm. They got the first down or whatever. They went tempo, switched the personnel.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and caught us.
And caught us off guard. So he was caught running on the field.
They should be prepped for
But
that, though, right?
and you couldn't tell nobody to go to nickel because I'm sure G New was all the way over here and he's the nickel. So he's like, you know what?
really,
just play nickel this round.
And there's a lot of people that don't understand that your technique and your rules change from boundary corner, field corner, and
It's a
nickel
big
corner.
difference.
It's just they just don't play defensive back.
Big difference.
One last question before we bring in Leroy. In the instant that it takes for a player to danger, if he looks away in danger for 1 second,
And he didn't see it,
and it's a millisecond,
It's over.
it's a wrap.
Right.
Yep. So it'd be big coverage.
That's why I
bust.
say it's absolutely stunning to me, and it really drives home what great athletes these guys are. Not just physically, but also to process all this mentally. That we don't have breakdowns like this way more often.
Well,
it's incredible.
It comes with communication. It comes with chemistry. You know, when you get a group of guys that's played together for years, you everybody can look at the formation and be like, oh, this is what this is. So everybody
sharing
should
the same
kinda
brand,
know
right?
You should all know. You look at the formation, you be like, the running back is to that side. Oh, it has to be dangerous.
That was great. I mean, that was absolutely
You're not getting
phenomenal.
that stuff anywhere else.
We need to do more of that each week.
I got any breakdown.
Never
I got
thought
you.
about coaching, huh?
Me?
Yeah, no interest in that?
I did, actually. I had some interest, but it's a long story.
That's why.
No, it's not even that. It's the fact I went to try to do it at Ohio State,
Yeah.
and they didn't have any GA positions open for me.
Oh, I see.
So
I think you'd be excellent at it.
well, thank you.
And,
he
and
did
that's
wear
why,
Versace.
guys, when you think about it, like in the beginning of last year when there were so many new guys in that secondary,
it was a lot.
that's why they
missed-
struggled.
Yeah, it was a lot of coverage bust.
And they figured it out by the second half of the season because that communication got a lot better.
And this last game, they played so so well, but these 2 breakdowns led to 2 huge plays.
Yeah, but there are
but
also
they're
sometimes
small.
breakdowns that people don't take advantage of.
Absolutely.
That's the thing. Like, how many times was
absolutely.
Amari Cooper?
Well,
just
that's
open,
exactly right. You
and you
could
just
al-
get lucky because Baker's trying to, or somebody, or either Jacoby Brissett or Baker is trying to throw it, and you're dependent upon them to see it and take advantage of it.
Yeah.
So
the
those
quarterback
breakdowns
has to
happen.
see it and then have the arm
The
to get
better
it.
the quarterback, the more often they're going to take advantage
You're
of that
absolutely
mistake.
right.
Yeah.
McNuggets, do you have a read before we bring in Leroy, or we just bring him in?
Well, let's bring him right in.